Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for June 4th and 5th, 2020. How are you doing? Well, we're heading in to this lunar eclipse. It's not an exact lunar eclipse. It's not a total, it's a partial. But gosh, is it powerful energy? The eclipses have an energy of trying to align us with our destiny and also to kind of face the past, because it's when the sun and the moon are close to the place of the nodes of the moon. And this lining up is kind of like a time, it can be a timeline alignment. And maybe that's partly the energy of Mercury in Cancer right now in its retrograde shadow, coming into an exact square with Chiron tomorrow. So we're really feeling that. And we also have the sun and Venus, the sun cruising along, day-to-day reality, Venus going backwards and in square to Mars. So all of our personal planets are lit up right now, and it's kind of getting personal, right? It's a really powerful moment in time, it feels like, this eclipse, as these energies come together for us. The sun is the role that we're playing in our life, like in your birth chart. It's kind of like, okay, what do you want, your clothes to look like this time around? And so the sun day to day is kind of like our day-to-day reality, who we are. And then Venus is what we want, right? Mars is our desires for action, for change, for happenings. And so we've got our day-to-day reality, who we are, the role we've been playing, hanging out with Venus, which is our value system, what we want, what makes us feel good, going backwards, retrograde, issues with love, relationships, fulfillment. And then in square to Mars in Pisces. So in a way, you could look at Mars and Pisces as spiritual desire or delusional desire, right? Both fit, of course, because that's the Pisces energy. And so the role we've been playing and what we really want is at odds with our desires, and this is very Gemini, because Gemini doesn't know what they want. And so, but what is happening right now? It seems like this convergence of our personal planets and very powerful transits is saying, it's like landing home the issues of the world. And I know these soul groups have been feeling really frustrated with the overwhelming in-your-face lies and sleeping people and the mind control and whatever the heck is going on out there, right? But this configuration is talking about, okay, so you're fed up with the lies of this world. You're fed up with the people continuing to buy the garbage. And so, but it's like for you souls and for right here, right now, these soul groups, there's an energy around, okay, are you ready to live your truth? Because Mercury in Cancer and coming into tomorrow, exact square with Chiron, this is what this lunar eclipse is about. Chiron in Aries is these deep wounds around where we haven't lived our truth, where we've compromised ourselves, where we've said we're something different than who we are in order to survive. And that is the name of the game, especially for the more advanced light worker soul you are and the more experiences that you've had before you came to Earth evolution, the more you're like tapped into your, or maybe not tapped in, probably disconnected, but to these ascension codes, the more you've had to just to be here on the planet. It's like just living at the human condition itself just requires us in this time, this evolution period that we've been in, to completely go against our true nature. Every single day we have to go against just to live in this world. We have to go against our true nature. And for these sensitive souls, it can be overwhelming. And so what have you done? You've disconnected from who you really are. You've numbed out. You've played the game. You just had to do what you had to do to survive, right? And what's happened is that the Chiron in Aries is about where you haven't been able to be true to who you are. You've had to play a different role than who you really are. And you've had to pretend you're something different. You had to turn your light down. You had to pretend you could fit in with these people just to kind of get through, right? And so what's happened is that we've had lifetime after lifetime of these false constructs that we built for survival. And even though the world looks insane right now, it's actually evidence that like our world is changing. This is evidence that we're going through spiritual ascension. It's happening. The time is now. And so all of those false constructs that you've built over lifetimes are falling. And it feels really scary, but it's good. It's like the massive ego death. It's like ego death of all of your past personality constructs from all of your lifetimes. And that's what this lunar eclipse seems to be about, because those past constructs are really tied into where you were on your mission and you're just like full bore ahead. You knew exactly what you were here to do and you were doing it. You're, just making it happen. And then bam, something came and interfered with your mission. You were betrayed, you were killed, you were exiled, you name it. We've experienced it, right? And so now it's like we're being asked with these personal planets in such a tizzy to turn all this inside and be like, oh, where have I not been living true? And how do you even live true when you're so disconnected from who you really are? But there's an empty hole there. You've been feeling unsatisfied with life and unfulfilled because you're here for a spiritual purpose. And this whole world is trying to tell you every single day that that's not important. It doesn't really exist. It's a silly pipe dream. Everyone around you, mostly in these soul groups, right? So it's kind of an intense moment for us to kind of turn all this within and, go within, which is interesting because Sagittarius is a very extroverted energy, but with Mars and Pisces and Mercury and Cancer in such powerful transits, right? So Venus is kind of moving on in its retrograde, but the Sun and Mars stay together in the square until the middle of June. They're exact today, and then they come back into an exact square from the 7th to the 9th of June. So, it's just like, okay, I'm really frustrated with this world of lies and these people that are like robots and whatever's going on out there. But then it's like, okay, well, where have you been living lies? Lifetimes of lies, hiding. The mechanism for these souls for survival is to hide. And you've hidden so far from who you really are that you don't know who you really are. And this is what the Venus retrograde is drudging up for you. And it feels like, oh, if I had that perfect relationship, if I had that job, if I had the right place to live, if I had that community, then I'd be okay, right? It's like, no, this isn't about that. This is about, maybe making this Mars and Pisces. It's a hard energy with square to Sun and Gemini, but make it work for us because it's trying to bring us back to the one truth, which is why we even bothered to come here. All of this is a breakdown of everything false so we can get to truth. And that starts right here in our heart. And it's not fun, but, the time is now. I think the message I'm getting is that if we can claim these moments right now, let the play of events happen, but it's super dynamic. And so just claiming the moment of this, it's almost like what I'm seeing is if you can do this, allowing it the 21 days of presence, if you can allow that for yourself right now, moment to moment, it's like I'm seeing this thing happen of these souls kind of land, on earth. You haven't been here for a long time. You've been here, but you haven't been here. And that landing is kind of ugh, it hurts. And it feels like it's like everything, nothing makes sense, and all you've worked for is nothing is going to ever come of it, you know, because everything we've been told is a lie. Everything. And we know we're so much more than this one little experience. And we also know we don't get to take any of these things that everybody says is so important with us. So right now, it's a huge opportunity to like kind of let go. Maybe that's a surrender, these water signs, and land on the earth and like let it just break down all the constructs of like understand that it's a huge thing, right? Because it's multiple lifetimes of constructs, but it's a house of cards. And it's time, if you're frustrated with the lack of truth and people buying into lies, you gotta live your truth. That's what these soul groups are being asked to do right now. And be devoted to your truth, which is a spiritual energy, right? And it's always changing, like your exact way of, if you were going to put it into words, but it's more true than anything out there. So, okay, you have your marching orders, and just try to take these moments. You know, these are magical times we're living in, and so much spiritual work can get done. It can be excruciatingly painful if your trauma bodies, as these constructs are breaking down, you know, these memories of trauma from all these lifetimes all lit up at one time, you know. But the payoff of taking these moments and being present and landing and letting yourself feel it all is like there's a jewel there. So we'll explore that, see what comes up tomorrow at that lunar eclipse activation. Soul group session. So a soul group session is a group intuitive session. It's based on what I do in an individual session. So you'll get a sense of what that is like. But of course, it's way more general because we're working with a group. But it's based on looking for shared past life pictures, something we've all experienced similar as souls, using that picture to get healings, clearings, clarification. You know, there can be timeline alignment probably with the eclipse. Breaking of authority contracts, soul retrieval type stuff. And so that's what that's about. So it's tomorrow. It's just before, it's like an hour or so and a half or so before the exact time of the lunar eclipse. And so the information, I have to put that in the box still. But anyway, the information is in the information box below the video. So I hope to see you there. If you sign up, it's $20 because it's a little bit more in depth than the activation, way more in depth, actually, because we're doing actual healings and clearings, right? And we want everybody to be on board with that. But if you sign up for the lunar eclipse, I'll go ahead and send you a coupon for the solar eclipse, 50% off, because it's really great to have a cohesive energy. You know, we're working, we're doing it. We're coming back together in our groups, and it's powerful energy, right? And so really cool. Thank you for being here, being devoted, being brave. You know, because we've all been hiding from each other. It may be since ancient times that you've incarnated at the same place in the same time and aware on the planet of your soul group. So it's a big deal. That's why it's like, you know, and we're all super programmed to fear our power. And then two of you is way more powerful, right? So this is potent work we're doing. And I appreciate you being present, being willing, showing up, and being in your truth and coming together. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And I'll also be doing an update in the morning. So I'll see you then, and have a wonderful and beautiful Sagittarius lunar eclipse and weekend. And I will talk to you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.